Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk now to Mawson Gold, and Michael Hudson, the chairman, is here with us. Welcome and good morning. How are you?
G'day, Jochen. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. You are also the CEO of Hand Metals, which we are just talking about. Now, Mawson Gold, you are the chairman and also, I think, even one of the founders, right, of the company, if I'm correct. Lots of things are going on. I'm a shareholder of the company. I want to disclose that also because you said you want to sail the Mawson oil, which is like Finland, and you want to split up the company. Can you please get us an insight into that?
Yeah, what the hell? Most people build companies, not split them up. But we've been very
Hmm.
successful and almost a victim of our own success in Mawson and what we've been doing. So Mawson has always been a generator of projects, but not to sell the projects immediately. We build them up and then move on. And what we've done now is we've got basically three parts of Mawson that we've had to deal with. One was the million ounce discovery in Finland, the gold cobalt asset called Rajapalot. That needs to be bigger. A million ounces is a minimum, and it can get bigger. And we put a lot of work over the last year working out how to make it bigger. And we think there was some low hanging fruit, if you like, in terms of extending the resources. So we want to see 1.5 million ounces there. If we can do that, that essentially doubles the NPV while the capex stays the same. And then, rule of thumb, you'll have a capex that is double your NPV and a very healthy IRR. And then you have a project. We've continued on with the permitting up there. Then that's one part. Then we've got 51% of Southern Cross Gold. That's a couple of 100 million, 180 to 200 million Aussie dollars. So that company is what we spun out of Mawson a couple of years ago. In May 2022, it listed on the ASX, the Australian Securities Exchange. That's an 80 to 100 million dollar piece of paper for shareholders. That is without a doubt one of the best gold discoveries in the world at the moment in terms of its hit rate. So it's hitting amazingly high grades, and they're all hanging together. And it's they just put out an exploration target of between 1 to 1.6 million ounces on about a third of the key footprint. Let alone it goes for another 10 times into the extensions, and that's at a grade between 7 and 10 grams. So it's going to be a very unique high grade discovery. It's on a roll. And then we own in Mawson 51% of that today. And then there's a portfolio of uranium assets we've staked 18 months ago when we saw the politics changing in Sweden. And the politics has changed very positively towards nuclear. The reality that nuclear is the way forward is very much the mantra in Sweden. They've removed a 30-year ban on building new nuclear reactors, and they look like they're going to remove a ban on uranium mining and therefore uranium exploration. So we saw
Which
that.
makes really sense then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Energy security is a huge thing up
Mm,
in Europe and around the world now. So we've staked
mm,
every conventional hard rock resource in Sweden. We own 23 million pounds there. Of course,
mm,
today it's an option on that change. We can't explore it today, but if that comes, and it may come soon, just I encourage all your listeners to Google uranium Sweden, and you'll see all that.
mm,
So three parts. Now, the superstar, without a doubt, is the Southern Cross holding, and Mawson's shareholder base has changed. It's traded. It's got 300 million shares issued and outstanding, and those 300 million shares have changed hands over the last year. And everyone's bought essentially Mawson for the arbitrage into the Southern Cross position. So
mhm,
we didn't want to raise money in Mawson to fund Sweden and dilute the position out of Southern Cross, if you like. So what we did was said, let's come up with a plan to fund each different project separately with a different market and a different set of investors. And so that's what we've done, and we've executed on phase one, which was to sell the Finnish asset to our shareholders. So for every 20 shares you held of Mawson, you had a right to buy one share of a new company that is now called, it was Springtide, but now it's been rebadged
Mhm.
called Mawson Finland. And that's going
Mhm.
through a listing as we speak on the TSX. So the money's been raised. We've raised $14 million already. And it looks like this from a non-accredited base, there'll be another few $2 to $3 million come in for that asset. So that's
Mhm.
now going to be a separate company listed on the TSX in March, April, called Mawson Finland. Very well capitalized. 3 rigs are turning there as we speak.
Mhm.
And there won't be any results come out until after the listing because and no assaying of the drill holes because we need to keep the
Mhm.
prospectus whole.
Mhm.
And that was, a majority Mawson shareholders who funded that company. We did have bring in some others when there was a bit of a shortfall when all the Mawson shareholders had contributed, but very well funded. 6.5 million of that came back to Mawson Gold, which is the mother
Mhm.
company. So Mawson Gold now sits here with $6.5 million cash from that sale, and another million or so it's got in the kitty, Southern Cross shares, and the uranium in Sweden. We've stated we're going to do an in specie distribution to Mawson shareholders when the escrow on those shares ends, which is May 16. So come May 16, we'll go through a shareholder vote, a plan of arrangement, and if both of those are successful, Mawson shareholders at a record date to be announced will get more or less for every 3 shares they own, 1 share of Mawson, 1 share of Southern Cross, I should say. 3 shares
Southern
of
Cross,
Mawson,
yeah.
1 share of Southern Cross.
Mhm.
Um, and and then Mawson will be left after that distribution as the Swedish uranium explorer, literally owning every conventional hard rock resource in Sweden that has 50% nuclear and just removed a uranium nuclear ban to build new nukes. They've already removed that, and we'll see what happens with the uranium mining and how the legislation changes around that. So it's a massive option
Mhm.
on that change. So
So,
that's where we are today.
so that means that you change from Mawson Gold to Mawson Uranium.
Yeah, exactly. So the name of Mawson
Finally.
Gold will change at the time, and maybe it will be something like that. We'll see Mawson Energy or Mawson Uranium or something
Yeah,
to
exactly.
differentiate it.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, Mawson shareholders from a little bit ago had the right to participate and fund Mawson Finland. They'll get the distribution of Southern Cross, and they'll still own their original Mawson Gold holding.
Mhm. Okay, super. Wow. So that means you can then already start with uranium exploration, or is that it still has to be lifted? So that could happen that we have to wait maybe another year, because I read Sweden wants to build 10 nuclear power plants as fast as possible, but they have to secure maybe also the powering of the nuclear power plant. And I mean, Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, there is also a ban on it, yeah, because it is all restricted by the European Union, by the
Sanctions.
US. So it would make sense to start as soon as possible with uranium exploration in Sweden, right?
That it would, and let's see the time frames. I never like to predict time frames around politics in any way,
Hmm.
but if like I said, you have your readers and listeners, Google Sweden uranium, and you'll see
Hmm.
that it could be within months. That it was reported even by one politician that they're looking in the next months for the change.
Hmm.
But let's see. Let's just see where that goes. But I don't think anyone's talking that it's necessarily going to take up to a year for that change.
Hmm.
I think it will be this year, and it could be sooner. But
Hmm.
let's leave it to the Swedes to work that out.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
when we're just waiting for that change, and it will
Hmm.
happen as it
Yeah.
happens.
So that means you could start with Mawson, let's call it Mawson Energy or Mawson Uranium. You would start with something around $7 million cash. Yeah. What would be then the capital structure? How many shares outstanding roughly? Can you
Yeah,
disclose
yeah.
that already?
Yeah, absolutely. There's about 300 million shares out in Mawson
So
today. So the
okay,
question
that's
is,
still.
when we do the distribution of Southern Cross,
Hmm.
do we do we roll Mawson back, or what do we do? It's going to be very well
Mm-hmm.
funded. There's also one other aspect of Mawson that I haven't talked about, and that's a gold project in Sweden. And that's what we've
Mm-hmm.
listed on, and that's what we can do work on, and we are committed at a relatively low level because in the joint venture terms, which we're earning in to this project up to 100%. We're going to do a few $100,000 worth of work. There is early stage
Mm-hmm.
discoveries there. We drilled 6 holes, first holes ever into it about a year ago, and hit 1 to 2 meters at very high grades, 100 plus grams. So it is a very good discovery in the shadow of the head frame of many,
Mm-hmm.
many, many millions of ounces in that Skellefteå district of Sweden. So that's what we will be doing. You'll see us drilling on that project this year. So we
Mm-hmm.
will be drilling, and the option of making a gold discovery is high. But the bigger aspect to Mawson, that's why I started with that, is this optionality around the uranium. So you get a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
double bite there. I just in Mawson and how it will be left. So yeah,
Okay.
and the
Okay.
capital structure, etc. Let's see where it goes.
Okay, super. Did I hear that correct some minutes ago? 23 million pounds of uranium. Is that a historic resource or what is that?
Yeah, they've been actually most of them have been 43101 in
Mm-hmm.
terms of past explorers, including ourselves. We've owned one of those resources ourselves in the past. Just because they were done many years ago, they'll
Mm-hmm.
be need to be re-established. But there are
Mm-hmm.
43101 technical reports, resource
Mm-hmm.
reports on all the projects in the
Mm-hmm.
past.
Super. So that means you have to twin holes and prove that this is real to today's standards, I would call it.
Yeah, so absolutely that's what you
Mm-hmm.
do, uh, but none of the resources are big enough in their own rights because there's about 5 or 6 resources. Some of them are clustered, and
Mm-hmm.
what we need to do is find the most socially acceptable cluster of projects. And we know some areas in Sweden. We know Sweden very well, been working there for 20 years. We know some of them are harder, some of them are easier, the municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go around and basically say, do you want us here or not? If you don't want us, we won't be there. If you want us, we'll be there because we've got such flexibility having so many different projects. And then when we get the yeses, we'll pick the best technical ones and we'll make any one project because they were drilled by the government. So they were drilled like a postage stamp, very close, but they're all open so we can extend them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll pick the best technical ones and then try to make any one project. Probably 30 million pounds would be the minimum that you'd want to see in
Mm-hmm.
one cluster. So
Yeah.
that's the plan.
Okay, super. I would say that's a super game plan. Michael, thank you very much for that. Yeah, and I would say we talk latest in May when everything happened, and then we want to get the update on the whole thing, how structuring was, or how what it looks like, and hopefully you get already the start permit to drill for uranium.
Yeah, well, it's so far so good. We've executing, raising capital,
Mhm.
got a very clear plan,
Yeah.
and Mawson shareholders are definitely benefiting. Yeah, watch this space. Thanks, Joachim.
Super. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Chairman Michael Hudson of Mawson Gold. Soon, probably Mawson Energy or Mawson Uranium. You heard it. They split off the whole conglomerate, I would call it, into the Australian Gold Division. You get shares there for free, which is very, very successful, by the way, Southern Cross Gold. And also, there is uranium upside potential, huge potential, because Sweden is really moving fully back to nuclear power. So it makes really sense that they do also exploration in the country when they have the uranium in front of their door. And yeah, also then the new company, Mawson, yeah, I would call it Mawson Gold now. No, sorry, what was the name from
You're
Springtide?
even getting
Yeah.
yeah, Mawson Finland.
Mawson Finland. Sorry for that. Too many companies for me. But the most important thing is we all make money with that. So really check out the Mawson Gold share for now and receive uranium gold shares in Australia and also a new company in Finland. So that makes really sense. And don't forget, Sweden is also gold. Check it out. Thanks for watching us and bye bye from Switzerland.